Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. With I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. This is Better Off Dead, Sunday, August 24th. Not a good day on the show yesterday. Obviously, not the way I wanted to kick off college football season. Not the way I wanted to kick it off yesterday. I'm going to complain about that, though. Kansas State, I mean, if you look at the statistics in that game, they dominated. Basically, every stat they dominated. Up until Iowa State just ran the ball a little bit more at the end to run out the clock. Kansas State had more rushing yards in the game, way more passing yards in the game. Kansas State had 3 more yards per play on like a similar number of plays in the game, and they still didn't win the game. And they only lost the turnover battle by 1. It all came down to like just not making the plays at the specific times that they needed to be made. Like Kansas State had a bad third down conversion rate. They had more third downs in the game, and they had a bad fourth down conversion rate. And Iowa State, I think, was 100% on fourth down conversions. So that was basically the difference in the game. Like statistically, Kansas State absolutely dominated the game. They outgained Iowa State by I think at least 100 yards, and it was more than that for a lot of the game. Again, they outgained them. I think it was like 7 yards per play versus 4, something like that. You will almost never see a team lose when they do something like that. Again, way more passing yards. The completion percentage was way higher on the part of Kansas State as well. Becht was awful. I think he had below a 50% completion percentage. And Iowa State wasn't running the ball all over the place either. Kansas State they had more rushing yards until the very end of the game. So it's like, how the fuck do you lose that game? I don't even know. I didn't watch the whole thing. I had it on. I was at my parents' house. I was watching like some of it. It made no sense, man. Just statistically, that absolutely should have been a winner. I did give out winners on my leans in college football. My spread analysis went 3-2, but unfortunately that was one of the 2 losers. So isn't that great? Then we lost on the Red Sox Yankees first 5 under the total, which was trending in the right direction. We had no score, I think, into the 3rd inning, and then the wheels kind of started coming off Will Warren, but at least for my purposes, at least the Red Sox won. But the Red Sox put up a couple of runs. At that point, it was still looking okay. It's like, all right, the Red Sox are up 2-0 in the 3rd inning or whatever. Like, we could still get this done. But then the Red Sox made it 4-0, and then it's like, well, you have to hope for a push. And then I believe it was 5-1 by the time the 5th inning was done. So very unfortunate there. Crochet did his part. Will Warren did not. But again, at least I'm happy the Red Sox are embarrassing the Yankees, which is at least something, because I don't think the Red Sox are going to make it as far as the Yankees do this year. But it is fun to watch. It's fun to watch the Yankees fielding just completely collapsed. When it's the Red Sox fielding, it's been terrible. Recently, Volpe made another stupid fielding mistake yesterday. He basically Chuck Knoblocked it like Jazz Chisholm did the previous day. So 2 games in a row, they've had one of their infielders just chuck it into the stands over first base, and it was Volpe yesterday. It's so crazy, dude. And Aaron Boone was defending Volpe the day before that when he threw it to second base when there's no force out out at second base on a ground ball to short with a runner on second. I mean, it just makes absolutely no sense. It's indefensible. Boone is such an idiot, dude. Which is also fun to see because fuck that guy for ruining our Red Sox dreams in 2003. R.I.P. to Tim Wakefield, by the way. And then we did lose on Kansas City as well, the Royals. It was a close game. They couldn't get it done. I mean, that was probably the loss that I found the easiest to take, to be honest, because they were never winning the game, I don't think. It was just they were close. They were down 1 for a lot of the game, but it was just they never really had it there. They lost 4-2, and then we had an easy win with the Chicago Cubs. The play I decided to add late, blowout win. I think they won 12-0 or 12-1. Very easy win from the Cubs yesterday, so that was an easy one. We'll move on to today. Today, this is a weird card, man. I like a lot of unders today. I have 3 that I'm going to give out as plays that are all first 5 unders, and you have to pay a little bit of an extra price for them. And I'm going to give out 1 side as well. And you can see one of the games I'm talking about in the description here. Every game that I have a play on is not one of the games that people really want to hear about. Not one of the more interesting games. So let's go to the rundown. We do have WNBA today. But by the way, before I forget, because there's no NFL now until the actual NFL season starts with, I believe, Cowboys-Eagles on Thursday night, September 4th or whatever is the first NFL game. So we have no more NFL until then. But I forgot to talk about the NFL preseason game yesterday with the Browns were like a 9-point favorite against the Rams. So I forgot to say you probably wanted to look for the Browns to go over their team total in that game yesterday. I don't know if they did. They scored 19 and they won. They didn't cover, but that was a situation where it's like, well, the Browns, there's no way they should have been a 9-point favorite. But the reason for that was because Matthew Stafford has a bad back, man. He didn't play in preseason at all, so you knew he wasn't going to play yesterday for the Rams either. And Sean McVay, he's notorious for not playing his starters at all in preseason and just not caring at all. So, I mean, I completely forgot to talk about that game yesterday, unfortunately. And then I don't even know which quarterbacks made it in for the Browns. I believe the reason why the line moved so much was because Joe Flacco was actually going to be in that game. I think he probably was for a bit. I know I saw one play where Shedeur Sanders took a negative 24-yard sack. So things were really working out for that guy. But whatever. My Baltimore Ravens lean got there. They actually covered that bigger number too. So I should have given out a play on that. That was the closest that I've been to giving out a play in preseason because of the weird, unique revenge angle on that. But let's talk about WNBA. I'm not going to have any plays here, but we got a few games. We need more dildos. Seattle at Washington. I mean, Seattle, both of these teams are actually fighting to make the playoffs, but Seattle is the better of these two teams. Washington, they're playing some bad basketball right now. 3 more losses in a row, including 2 to the really bad Connecticut Sun. I mean, what are you even doing, man? Connecticut actually is ahead of Chicago in the standings now somehow. Washington staying at home at least. Seattle coming in from, I don't even know where they're coming in, but Washington played yesterday against Vegas and had a somewhat close game. So Washington is on a back-to-back, which is not good. Seattle just blew out Dallas. I don't know if they're going to be feeling really high on themselves about beating Dallas. I mean, maybe. Whenever you beat anybody by 30-plus points, you might be feeling a little bit too high on yourselves. So this is a game I just don't think you could touch the game. Seattle is up from 7-9. It looks like the money is coming in on that side. I guess do with that information what you want to. Golden State at Dallas. Dallas, again, did just get blown out by Seattle, and they're staying at home. They don't have a whole lot left to play for. Maybe they'll show up for a home game against Golden State, who's trying to make the playoffs as well right now, sitting at 500. Golden State, couple losses in a row to some pretty good teams. Atlanta, Phoenix, and Phoenix again. They're going from Phoenix to Dallas here, continuing a road trip. I mean, I think Golden State does need the game more. They're sitting at a 2.5-point favorite. It looks like the numbers actually dropped a little bit on them. Really difficult to figure that out because I think probably I would slightly lean to Golden State in that one, but I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to gauge that. And then we have and Dallas still, they're coming off an embarrassing loss, so they might want to bounce back from that as well. Indiana now has a game under their belt without Sophie Cunningham. And by the way, they didn't cover. They lost at home to Minnesota, and both teams shot out of their minds in this game. They both scored over 90. The shooting percentages were insane on both sides of this game. Minnesota was still without Collier, who's the best player in the league, and she probably should be the MVP, and Minnesota's been still winning without her. Indiana is still without Caitlin Clark. That was their first game without Sophie Cunningham, so it was an injured player spot, and they almost covered. They played really well, so now they have to go out on the road and play Minnesota again. Not sure Indiana's going to be able to keep up that intensity this time with Caitlin Clark still not back. Sophie Cunningham, second game out, and Minnesota is getting Collier back. But that's the one thing that makes me kind of not want to jump in and lay the points with Minnesota. They're up from 11 to 12 here, but because Collier's coming back, they have to work her back into the rotation. So it's that like reverse injured player spot where the team might feel like they can kind of take their foot off their gas a little bit, especially when they just beat Indiana on the road. So it is a quick road revenge spot for Indiana, at least. Man, my glasses keep fogging up, man. But yeah, I mean, I would probably actually have a slight lean to Indiana there because of the way that sets up. The road revenge plus the reverse injured player theory there. But Indiana, very, very injured. And they're in the second game. They're in the game after the injured player spots. That's not really a great spot for them either. Let's go to Major League Baseball here, man. We got a bunch of afternoon games because it's Sunday. A lot of teams are going to be traveling. Colorado, Pittsburgh. This is one of the games where I was eyeing the under potentially in this game. We got an interesting pitching matchup in this one. As far as the bullpens, I mean, the bullpens are not particularly good. We know both offenses are really bad. Pittsburgh used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Colorado used 2. So Colorado, I guess, slightly more rested bullpen, but they are the worst of the 2 bullpens anyway. I don't trust the bullpens here. So in this game, the way that I was kind of eyeing it, if I was going to play this game, it would be a first 5 under, in my opinion. But you have to try to gauge what's going to happen with McCade Brown for Colorado, who is making his Major League debut, and he is coming up straight from, I think, either AA or some other league, because I didn't see any AAA stats for him this year, and I was looking at his minor league stats, and they're really all over the place. Like, this year alone, he struggled in, like, single A, had, like, an ERA in the 5s, but then his numbers in AA this year are actually pretty good. And his numbers on whatever that other team was are pretty good, where he got his ERA down like into the 3s. His whip was like fairly decent. So I actually don't know what we're going to get out of McCade Brown. He's actually a little bit older than you would expect for a guy making his debut. He's 25. I think he may have been derailed a little bit by some injuries. He has a looming mound presence at 6'6". He throws like an upper 90s fastball. Has kind of a typical arsenal, though. Fastball, slider, curveball, and then I guess changeup is his least used pitch, but I guess he has a fast fastball, and he also has decent off-speed stuff to keep guys off balance, decent movement on some of the other stuff. That's what he does. Seems like a pretty typical arsenal. Could be a guy that could stick in a major league rotation, but of course, he is on the team where pitchers go to die with Colorado, but at least he's getting to face a really weak offense outside of Coors Field in his major league debut in Pittsburgh. So I actually think he might do okay here, because when you have these guys making their major league debut and they haven't been seen before by the opposing offense, sometimes they can have a little bit of an advantage there. So I think he might not do bad. And of course, Paul Skeens is pitching for Pittsburgh. Obviously, he's having a really good season. 2.16 ERA, 0.96 whip. He's been even better at home. 1.81 ERA here. It's a somewhat pitcher-friendly park. This month, his ERA is a little bit high, 4.29. But that was because he had to start in Coors Field, and then he faced Milwaukee, both on the road, and he gave up 4 earned runs apiece in those games. He's been pretty decent other than that. They've been basically limiting his pitch count so that he doesn't go over 100 pitches, making sure he doesn't like completely wreck himself pretty much. But he's in there. He's in there for the rest of the season. He does have a good 28-5 strikeout walk ratio this month still. He's pitching pretty well. Numbers against Colorado don't look good just because of that one game at Coors Field. I think that was the only time he faced them. 18 at-bats. They do have a 333 batting average off him. Beck hit a home run off him. They have a 1,011 OPS off him, but he did have 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. So, I mean, I still think Skeens is going to pitch well in this game. I mean, I think it's usually a decent bet that Skeens is going to pitch well more often than he does not. This line is really, really high. When do you ever see Pittsburgh open at minus 360 on the money line? I mean, that is insane. I mean, that's how bad Colorado has been, but I don't think you could possibly justify a price like that. Even if it is Skeens, you're still dealing with the fact that this is Pittsburgh, and their bullpen's not good, their offense isn't good. 85% of tickets, only 77% of the cash on them. But I don't really see any way to really attack the side here. I mean, I still think Skeens should outpitch Brown. I mean, just because he is Paul Skeens. The money is coming in on the under, even though it looks like it flipped to 7 juice to the over. 72% of tickets on the over, 79% of the cash on the under. Cash percentages on the under. That is the way that I would look. You could go full game with it. I don't think we could really totally trust the bullpens, though, so probably I'd prefer first 5 innings, which you're going to hear a lot from me today. This isn't one that made my card, but it was close. I think it's just very difficult to figure out what you're going to get out of Brown in this game in his debut, and whether or not he's good enough, because his minor league numbers, I'm not sure they're quite good enough, and he's really taking a step up to play in the major leagues. Oh my God. In Major League, the movie. But still, under first 5 innings, I think is the way to look in that game. Probably would have to be under a 3.5, though, which is unfortunate. St. Louis at Tampa Bay. Odd situation where these two teams didn't play yesterday. Usually every team plays on Saturday, but they didn't. And I'm not even sure if it was a rain out or anything. I think they weren't even on the schedule yesterday, so fairly strange. So the bullpens are rested. They're both decent bullpens. I think St. Louis actually probably has a slightly better bullpen. Tampa probably has the better offense out of the two. Looking at the starting pitching matchup, it's a decent starting pitcher for both sides here. Matthew Liberatore for St. Louis, 4.13 ERA. 1.29 whip is not really that great, though. But he's been actually a little bit better on the road, 3.73 ERA. However, remember that Tampa Bay plays in Steinbrenner Field, a spring training stadium that is designed to be like Yankee Stadium because it's the Yankees spring training stadium. It is pretty hitter-friendly. So that's why you have to dial it back, because I actually like the under in the first 5 in this game, too. But I think you have to, or under full game, actually, with 2 rested bullpens. But I think you have to dial it back a little bit just because of the stadium that this is taking place in, although that is factored into the number. Liberatore has been okay this month, 4.67 ERA, 10.5 strikeout walk ratio is not that great. He's not striking out a lot of guys. He did face LA, the Dodgers this month, which was probably his worst start, I guess. Well, his worst start was at home against Colorado. I don't know how you can really explain not making it past 4 innings against Colorado. He didn't have a great start against the Dodgers either, but at least that's more explainable. But I guess you could say Liberatore is not in the greatest form right now, but Tampa has not really seen him very much. Only 3 of their hitters have ever seen him before. Morel has the only hit, a double. They're 1 for 9 off him, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. It's a 111 average, 422 OPS. So Liberatore does have a bit of an unfamiliarity edge here. Ryan Pepio is pitching for Tampa, 3.95 ERA, 1.19 whip, pretty good numbers on the season, 3.46 ERA at home, so he's actually been better in this stadium, even though he's given up a lot of home runs in the stadium, 17, but he's still somehow keeping his ERA down in the stadium. He's not really in the greatest form this month either, though, giving up 4 earned runs over his last 2 starts. One was at the A's stadium, which is also a ridiculously hitter-friendly stadium, a AAA stadium that they play in. So you can give him a pass for that. You can probably give him a pass for getting knocked around by the Yankees at the end of July. But his most recent start at San Francisco, very pitcher-friendly park. He didn't do well in that start either, give up 4 earned runs. So he's been a little bit dicey this month with a 5.09 ERA. San Francisco, weak lineup too, so not a great start from him there, although he had 8 strikeouts there. Does still have an 18-6 strikeout walk ratio this month, which isn't too bad. He may be able to bounce back here, because actually, surprisingly, St. Louis has never faced Pepio before. So the unfamiliarity edge is on both sides here, and I think the bullpens, because they rested yesterday, I think that factors in. So I do lean to the under in this game. Totals down from 9 to 8.5, basically. 63% of tickets on the over, 58% of the cash on the under. Of course, if you can get under 9, that's what you want to do here. The 9 is a key number in baseball because it's what breaks the 3-3 tie. I just worry a little bit, again, about the stadium, about the recent form of these 2 starters. It gets a little bit iffy, but I would still say the under is probably the way to attack this game. The money is somewhat coming in on Tampa, too, up from -122 to -135. 64% of tickets, 67% of the cash on Tampa. I mean, they do have a little bit of an unfamiliarity edge with Pepio there. They do have the better offense, at least, and the bullpens are pretty comparable. So I could see the argument for that. Both of these teams not really going anywhere this year. Neither are Colorado and Pittsburgh, obviously. So these teams Both kind of just playing out the stretch there. But again, I think under is probably the way to look at that game. Houston, Baltimore, I'm going to give out a play. I'm going to have a play in 3 out of the 4 of those games in that series. 1 on Houston money line in the first 2 games. So let's make it a sweep of that series, man, with my play today. But we'll see. That's going to be one of my plays. Mets and Braves. This game, I think there's only one way to go with it. It's a total. But I think the way to go with this game is actually the over. Looking at this game, I mean, I'm not really a huge fan of either of these bullpens. They're both very mediocre, actually, at this point. They've had a decent amount of rest recently. Yesterday, both teams did get some of their bullpen arms into the game. Atlanta 4, Mets 3. So Atlanta was really rested up until that point. But now that there was some bullpen usage yesterday, and the bullpens are pretty mediocre, I think we could see this game maybe start to unravel, especially if it's like a domino effect. Like that tends to happen more if the game's going to go over. Like your starting pitchers, if they don't do well, they might get knocked out of the game earlier, and then the bullpens have to pitch more. So that kind of is what causes that to happen. So you'll see me, it's much more unlikely that I'm going to have a first 5 over in a game. But this game, we got David Peterson pitching for, and the Mets, by the way, have the better offense. There's no question about that. David Peterson is pitching for the Mets. His numbers do look good. 3.18 ERA, 1.24 WHIP is a little bit high. He's a little bit worse on the road, 3.46 ERA. My problem with Peterson, I mean, well, it's well documented if you watch my show. I just think he always puts too many guys on base. I think he's always like kind of a regression candidate, and it's just crazy how he keeps getting away with putting guys on base. He does induce a lot of ground balls, which helps him get out of a lot of jams, but I just don't think he's that good. I mean, this month he hasn't really been that good. In 4 starts, his team has lost 3 of them. 5.01 ERA, 26-10 strikeout walk ratio, way too many walks, although a lot of it was a 5-walk outing where he gave up 6 runs against Atlanta. But guess who he's facing today? Oh, yeah, Atlanta. So he did terrible against Atlanta the last time out. Maybe not a good sign for Peterson. He did bounce back with a dominant performance against Washington, his most recent start. 10 strikeouts in 8 innings, 1 run allowed, 4 hits, 1 walk. Yeah, he completely dominated them. But Washington is actually worse offensively at home. They're not as good as Atlanta is. So I don't know, man. I'm not ready to say that he's just completely back in form right now because of the way he was pitching prior to that. And his numbers against the Braves, they're kind of all over the place, to be honest. He's coming off a bad start against them a few starts ago. Like I said, they have 122 at-bats against him, a 238 batting average, which is definitely low, but 33-18 strikeout walk ratio. He's walked a lot of the Braves' bats, and they have a 787 OPS off him because they also have 7 home runs off him, although 4 of them are Matt Olson. But still, Peterson does get hit for power, and he walks guys against Atlanta, so his numbers are not great against Atlanta. And on the other side, Bryce Elder, I mean, again, if you watch my show, you know, Bryce Elder, he is basically an elder, even though he's only 26. His numbers are just awful. His numbers are worse than the elders in Major League Baseball here. He's worse than Justin Verlander. Elder is awful. 6.29 ERA, 1.56 WHIP. Terrible numbers. He's even worse at home. 7.43 ERA. Last start out, he gave up 8 earned runs against the White Sox. I mean, what are you doing, man? Terrible offense of the White Sox. I gave out a play on White Sox first 5 innings in that game, and that was correct. And then the White Sox lost the full game, although they covered the run line if you went run line with that one. But, man, Elder, he was not the reason why his team won that game. He was awful. This month, he has a 6.29 ERA, 17-8 strikeout walk ratio. The walk rate isn't terribly high, but he's getting hit. He's giving up runs. He's not pitching well. His numbers against the Mets are not particularly good. In 69 at-bats, 16-6 strikeout walk ratio is all right, but 275 batting average allowed, 849 OPS. So again, I don't trust either starter here. Don't really trust the bullpens either. Both teams do have decent hitting, really. Mets better than Atlanta, but I think the way to look at this game is the over. The total did go up from 9 to 9.5. We see 77% of tickets on the over, 60% of the cash on the over. So the cash is kind of disagreeing with that. If you could still find a 9 to go over that, obviously that would be the better move because, again, 9 is a key number because it breaks the tie. Probably the way that I would look. The money's coming in on the Mets as well, up from minus 116 to minus 129, 81% of tickets, 85% of the cash. I mean, I could see the argument for that because I do still think Peterson is better than Elder. I mean, I think Elder is just fade material the whole way, so I don't really disagree with the Mets side either. and the bullpens are a bit of a wash for me in that game, but I still think the over is actually the better way to play that game, especially if you can get it at 9. Washington at Philadelphia. Philadelphia, this is going to be bad for them, man. They're on this playoff run here. They're in first place, and Wheeler is now not going to be back this season, man. He's having to have surgery. He has I forget what his medical diagnosis was. It's something weird, man. I forget exactly what it was, but very unfortunate because he's Philadelphia's ace. He's been a staple of their rotation. And with him out of that rotation, that's really, really going to hurt their chances, man. I'm not a Philadelphia fan, but it's just, if you like baseball and you like good pitching, that definitely sucks. Washington, of course, is the worst of these two teams, though. Washington has a terrible bullpen. Phillies isn't that great, but they have the better bullpen nonetheless over Washington. Philly has the better offense, of course, as well. Philly probably has the better starting pitcher here, too. Jake Irvin is pitching for Washington, not having a good season. 5.3 ERA, 1.4 whip, 5.49 ERA on the road, so even a little bit worse on the road. This month, he's been really bad. 9.31 ERA in 4 starts, 11-9 strikeout walk ratio, giving up 5 or more in runs in 3 of the 4, including 6 or more in his last 2 outings, including one against Kansas City, a bad offense at Kansas City. That is not a good sign. He's not pitching well, even against bad offenses. And in pitcher-friendly parks, he's still not getting it done. Against Philadelphia, his numbers are not good either. In 143 at-bats, they have a lot of familiarity with him. 22-12 strikeout walk ratio, also not good. 322 batting average allowed and 934 OPS allowed. Irvin, his numbers, just everything about Irvin says fade this guy in this game, man. Bad form, bad numbers in the matchup against Philadelphia. What else is there to say, really? Bad numbers overall, even worse on the road. He's up against Roger Suarez, who, as I keep saying, I don't think he's as good as his numbers look, but I do still think he's better than Jake Irvin pretty significantly. Good numbers on the season, 3.25 ERA, 1.17 whip. He started the season late due to an injury. Did show some signs of regression. Hasn't been quite as good at home either, 4.27 ERA at home. This past month, he has a pretty ugly, or within August, 5.68 ERA. Not good, but some of that is kind of hard to explain because he has a 21-2 strikeout walk ratio this month, which is really good. So his command is really on. He had 10 strikeouts last time out against Seattle and no walks. He's had no walks in 3 of the 4 outings, so he actually is pitching well. The start where he got the most blown up was at Cincinnati, which is a pretty hitter-friendly park. So you can kind of explain that one. It's harder to explain him not doing well at home against Baltimore, giving up 5 runs in that one because Baltimore's not really that good. But overall, his command is still there, so I'm not really ready to say he's not in good form right now. Well, I wouldn't say he's in bad form. And the Nats actually don't have a ton of experience against him. 49 at-bats, 11-7 strikeout walk ratio. That is too many walks, but 5 of them are Josh Bell, just because he is a good hitter. 224 batting average allowed, 668 OPS. So Suarez does have the better matchup numbers here pretty significantly. The money seems to be fading Philly, though. They're up from minus 250 to minus 265. 93% of tickets, only 87% of the cash on them. I think probably the professional money kind of the feeling that the line is just too high on Philadelphia, but I do think they have the edge across the board here. So I still think if you're going to play the side, you have to play Philadelphia in some way. I think maybe the way to do it is to go over their team total because the money's coming in on the over. It's up to 9.5 juice to the over, 60% of tickets, 63% of the cash on the over. And instead of trying to gauge what Suarez is going to do because he might actually pitch well and hold Washington down, I think what you can do, again, is bet Philly's team total over, and then you get Irvin plus Washington's bullpen to give up a bunch of runs, which I think is probably going to happen. But if you do that, you will need Philly to probably score about 6 runs in the game, maybe even 7. So a little bit difficult to get over that number, but we will see. Kansas City at Detroit. Detroit on the verge of a sweep here, so does that mean they're going to take Kansas City a little bit more lightly? I don't know. They only have a series with the A's up next, so they probably won't because this divisional matchup probably still means more. Kansas City's still fighting to stay alive. Detroit is still fighting for playoff positioning. Of course, I should mention the Mets are still fighting to make sure they make the playoffs, and Atlanta is out of it, but Atlanta will still show up for a series against the Mets. So for motivation, from the motivational standpoint there. Part of the handicap. Washington also is out of it, but they might show up for a game against Philadelphia because it's another division rivalry. Philadelphia needs to keep winning to make sure they make the playoffs, obviously. And again, same with Detroit here, but let's get into, Detroit, Kansas City here. Detroit's bullpen has fallen off a little bit to the point where you got to give Kansas City a bullpen edge here. Detroit used a little bit more of their bullpen yesterday as well. So Kansas City has a little bit of a bullpen edge. Detroit definitely has an offensive edge, and they're better at home. So you can't overlook that. And as far as the starting pitching, I actually think Detroit probably does have the edge there too. It might be time to say goodbye to Seth Lugo, even though I've been saying that I don't think that he's as bad as the advanced analytics guys have been saying that he is, but he hasn't been good recently. Although his numbers are still pretty good in the season, 3.73 ERA, 1.22 whip. So he's still not really putting too many guys on base, but he's worse on the road, 4.24 ERA on the road. Up against Detroit, his numbers are actually not terrible. On 117 at bats, 30 to 13 strikeout walk ratio, 231 average allowed, 735 OPS, still a little bit on the lower side. So he actually hasn't been too bad against Detroit. But Lugo's recent stats are pretty ugly, although he did bounce back with a nice start against Texas last time out, held them to 2 earned runs in 6 1/3. So that wasn't bad, but Texas is a weak offense, and Lugo has walked way too many guys this month. He has an 8.05 ERA this month, an 11 to 12 strikeout walk ratio, and he's allowed 6 home runs over the last 3 outings alone. So that's not good either, man. He's been allowing a lot of home runs. His walk number is way too high. So Lugo is definitely pitching worse right now. He had really bad starts against Minnesota and Washington, allowing 13 earned runs in 8 innings across those 2 starts. Failed to make it 5 innings in the 3 starts prior to that one against Texas. So, Lugo, I will give you, he's not in good form right now. Maybe he's starting to wear down a little bit. Again, I still think he's more effective than what the advanced analytics say, but I'm not ready to say that he has the advantage or anything like that in this game. I don't think he does. Jack Flaherty is pitching for the Tigers. He does have the worst numbers on the season, 4.51 ERA, 1.27 whip. Not great, but he has the advantage of the splits. He's actually way better at home, 3.45 ERA at home. So Lugo is on the bad side of his home road splits. Flaherty's on the good side of his. Flaherty's been a little bit better this month than Lugo, 4.5 ERA this month, 25 to 6 strikeout walk ratio. Flaherty did have 2 bad starts this month as well against Minnesota and the White Sox, allowing 10 earned runs combined across 9 innings. I mean, that's not a good sign either. But he bounced back with a nice 7-inning shutout against Houston last time out. 9 strikeouts, 1 walk. So he is pitching better, and he had a good start against Philly to start the month, and a good start against Toronto at the end of last month. So it's almost like he's just not paying attention against worse teams, although maybe that's not a good thing because Kansas City's not a good team, even though they are in second place here. Flaherty does have good numbers against them, though. They're only 9 for 41 off him. They only have 4 guys who have even faced him before. 9.5 strikeout walk ratio is not great, but 220 average allowed, 573 OPS. So Flaherty, he's got the better numbers overall, better recent numbers, better matchup numbers. So, I think Detroit has got to be the lean in this game, but the money's coming in against them. They're up from minus 140 to minus 143. 71% of tickets, only 67% of the cash on them, so the money is fading them. If you did want to just stick with Detroit having a starting pitching matchup, you could go with them first 5 innings run line or something like that, just to go with Flaherty versus Lugo, and then you don't have to worry about Kansas City's bullpen maybe being a little bit better. And the money is hitting the under as well, 59% of tickets on the over, but 61% of the cash on the under, and the total dropped a little bit from 8.5 to 8. So, I could see some arguments for that, but I do definitely worry about Lugo here. So I think an under is a little bit dicey. Although I think the bullpens are decent enough that they may be able to keep you under in a full game. Andrew, what's up, man? Who's Titler? Oh, the French, communist, crazy chicks that protest topless. Yeah, I call them Titler. That is right. Toronto, Miami's going to be one of my plays, so I'm going to skip that. This is going to be a long video, isn't it? God damn it. Minnesota, Chicago. Man, this game, you got 2 teams that are out of it. It is a divisional matchup. The teams didn't use a whole lot of their bullpens yesterday, I don't believe, but the bullpens are not very good bullpens. The White Sox used 2 relief pitchers. Minnesota also used 2. They use them for a lot of pitches, but they didn't use their better relievers. So the bullpens are decently intact. Minnesota has the better offense just because Chicago's is so bad, but you're looking at two fairly weak offenses too. Starting pitching is an interesting one with two guys that started the season on different teams, I'm pretty sure. Taj Bradley will be making his Twins debut, as I guess Tampa Bay must have gotten rid of him at the trade deadline. I think he's probably been in the minors for a bit. He's shown glimpses of having pretty good stuff, but he's been kind of all over the map, both literally and figuratively at this point. 4.61 ERA, 1.28 whip on the season. Not great numbers, not horrible. He's been better on the road, 3.76 ERA. But remember, he was pitching in Steinbrenner Field with Tampa, so that's part of the reason why his home stats are really bad. So I think that was actually skewing his stats a bit. So this might actually be a sneaky pickup for the Twins. It might actually be good. Bradley has not pitched since late July when he was still on Tampa. However, hilariously, his last outing was against these White Sox, who he's facing today, and he only went 1 2/3 innings, allowed 4 earned runs, 3 walks, no strikeouts. So he had a really terrible outing in that one against a really bad offense, and they're about to face him again. So that's not really a great sign for Bradley, but that was at Steinbrenner Field as well. So I think he should do at least better this time out. The White Sox have 13 at-bats against him. Montgomery has a home run off him. They have a 308 average off him, 896 OPS, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. Of course, I think pretty much all of that was from that most recent start. So yes, his numbers are bad against them, but maybe you have to dial it back a little bit. I'm putting too much weight into that because, again, that was at Steinbrenner Field. Maybe he'll be pumped up to be pitching for a new team at least. Who knows? Gets another shot to pitch in the majors here. Chicago, the White Sox are going to have Yendrys Gomez pitching, who I don't even know who he is, really. He's got bad numbers this year. 5.53 ERA, 1.55 whip. Obviously, that's not good. His numbers at home have been better, 3.52 ERA. Some of that was with the Dodgers and the Yankees, I guess. He was with both of them. I think he was a relief pitcher with both of them. Then the White Sox got him, and they used him in relief 3 times, and then they put him in the starting rotation, and he's actually been okay in the starting rotation in 2 starts. He's gone 5 innings in each one. They've let him go basically 90 pitches in each one. He has a 10-2 strikeout walk ratio, 3.6 ERA, so not exactly bad. And he actually put up a good start against Detroit, giving up only 1 earned run in those 5 innings. There was 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Had a little bit of a backslide against Atlanta, but still a pretty serviceable start. And he picked up wins in both starts. Kind of ridiculous, man, that Gomez, who I'm not even sure he's very good, but he's been around since 2023. His career numbers are definitely pretty bad, but he's getting his shot with the White Sox, and he's actually doing pretty well so far. And Minnesota's never faced him before, so he might actually have an advantage against Minnesota just because they haven't seen him before. So hilariously, this game, I would say, is probably a game you want to look towards an under as well. If you want to avoid the bullpens because they're bad, obviously you can do that with a first 5 inning under. If you want to just go with the starting pitching here, which may be the way to go here. Bullpens are at least rested if you did want to try the full game. And you got a key number there at 9. It's flipped to 9, juice to the under, though. So if you're going to go full game, you got to make sure you get it under 9, the key number there. 80% of the tickets are on the over, even though these are 2 teams that you would think bettors would not look at this and be like, oh, I want to go over. But maybe they're looking at the ERAs like, oh, these pitchers stink. I don't know. And public does like to bet overs more often than anything else. 91% of tickets on the under. Well, they bet overs and favorites. 91% of tickets on the under, though, so the money's coming in on the under. But yeah, if the public is going to be playing totals, they're going to be playing overs for the most part. But anyway, yeah, that game, to me, I think it's an under. So like I said, there are a lot of games where I like the under today. I'm trying to limit it to what I think are just the best under plays. But again, I lean under in Colorado, Pittsburgh, generally, probably first 5. St. Louis, Tampa, probably full game. And then I also had the under lean in, what was the other one? And I'm going to give out 3 first 5 inning unders too. In Minnesota, White Sox also lean under there. San Francisco, Milwaukee. This is going to be a hard game to handicap right now because Milwaukee has not decided on a starting pitcher unless they've announced it. You know, since I started the show, that has not been announced. Milwaukee has actually flipped from plus 100 to minus 109 here, though. So I don't know if there's some movement behind the scenes. I don't know if there's some information back there where somebody knows who they're planning on starting, maybe. The total did drop a little bit from 9.5 to 8.5, though. So these initial line moves seem to indicate Milwaukee is going to have some decent starter out there. We'll see. I mean, it could wind up being Logan Henderson, I think, or something like that. So I don't know. We're going to see. But Milwaukee, they did lose a little bit of another win streak yesterday. They had 2 wins in a row, and they lost to San Francisco yesterday. Although I don't consider that to be like a loss of a win streak that's going to hang you over. I think losing a long win streak does hang you over potentially. This case, I don't think so. Milwaukee did get kind of embarrassed 7-1 yesterday, so I think they'll probably want to bounce back here. Milwaukee's still at least trying to make sure they get the 1 seed, although they are well on their way to doing that, so they can afford to lose some games at this point too. San Francisco has the better of the 2 bullpens, and they didn't use much of it yesterday. Milwaukee didn't use too much of theirs either, mostly long relief men. So the bullpen scenario is pretty decent for both teams here. San Francisco probably does have the starting pitching edge, but if Milwaukee, again, if they're going with somebody like Henderson or Tobias Myers or somebody like that, I don't know what's going on with those guys, that would make it a pretty decent pitching matchup where I would think if that's the case, you might want to actually start looking towards an under in this game. But if they're going with a bullpen game or something like that, I think maybe San Francisco might be the lean in this game. I know I've been leaning to San Francisco a lot recently. San Francisco is out of it, but I think playing the Brewers, I think, is at least something that focuses them. And San Francisco does have Robbie Ray pitching, who's been arguably their best pitcher, although I still give that to Logan Webb because he's been so consistent for so long. But Ray is having a really good year for the Giants. 2.85 ERA, 1.11 whip. Very similar home and away numbers, almost exactly the same. This month, he's doing really well. 2.45 ERA, 24-5 strikeout walk ratio. He had a little bit of a blip last month, but I think it was kind of because he got named to the All-Star team, and maybe that was a distraction. This month, he's been back, pitching quite well this month. Again, with good command numbers, like I just mentioned. Against Milwaukee, his numbers are not terrible either, and they're a good offense. Obviously, Milwaukee has the better offense here. 43 at bats, 13-4 strikeout walk ratio, 256 batting average allowed, and 738 OPS. So Ray does have pretty good numbers against Milwaukee. And again, we don't know who Milwaukee's going to be pitching, so it's basically the handicap's really going to depend on who Milwaukee's starting, man, because it could be anybody from like a really good young pitcher to a bullpen game, which is like pretty much garbage. So we'll see what Milwaukee decides to do there. Cleveland at Texas. 2 bad offenses in this matchup between Cleveland and Texas. Texas has the better bullpen. I think Cleveland probably has the somewhat better offense. Texas really struggles offensively at home, but they did beat Cleveland 10-0 yesterday. They got a good start out of Jack Leiter yesterday. Looks like, I don't know, I didn't see the numbers yet, but apparently. So Texas is on the verge of a sweep here. Texas does probably have a little bit more to play for at this point because I think they probably legitimately think that they're not out of the race yet. And Cleveland, having to contend with Detroit in their division, might kind of think that they are out of it for their purposes. And they did sell off at the trade deadline. As far as the bullpen usage is concerned, Cleveland used only 1 guy. They used Allard or Allard. I don't know how you pronounce his name. He's a guy that's been in and out of the rotation, so they really have very light bullpen usage recently. All of their best relievers that they have on their roster are available for today, so their bullpen is in good shape. Texas's bullpen, I think, also is, They used 2 relievers, very light usage yesterday as well. So, and they're the better bullpen. So bullpen usage is pretty good on both sides. So it's starting to look like an under in this game. The total's also really low. Gavin Williams is pitching for Cleveland. He's been pretty good recently. This season, 3.24 ERA is pretty good. 1.3 whip, definitely too high. But he's been fairly good recently. He's only slightly worse on the road. 3.31 ERA. This month, he has a 1.96 ERA in 4 starts. Cleveland has won 3 of the 4 and 23-8 strikeout walk ratio. So he is pitching well this month, and that included starts against the Mets and Arizona, both on the road, where he only gave up 1 earned run combined across those 2 starts against decent offenses on the road. So that's a pretty decent sign. His one really bad start was against Miami, and I probably should have gone with Miami in that game because I didn't give out a play in the game at all. Because I told you, I was thinking about the under in that game, but I told you my hesitancy was because Williams took not a perfect game, a no-hitter because he walked 4 guys. He took a no-hitter into the last out against the Mets. So he had 1 out to go to complete a no-hitter against the Mets, and he gave up a single. Or I guess he gave up a home run, excuse me. It was 1 hit, a home run, my mistake. Yeah, he gave up a home run when he had 1 out left to get. I mean, that's just brutal. So like I said, when a guy does that and they're that close to making the history books, and he threw 126 pitches in that game, man. So that was so many pitches for Williams. That was the most that he's thrown, I assume, in his entire career. I was 20-something more pitches than he'd thrown in any other start this year, I think. I know he threw 109 and one against the Dodgers, so 17 more pitches than than in any other outing. So you knew that he was probably going to be hung over in the next game. So that's how you can explain why his start against Miami was bad. But then all the rest of his starts, if you go all the way back to early July, where he gave up 4 earned runs against the Cubs, which you can kind of forgive him for that too. He's allowed 4 earned runs only that one other time against Miami over that entire span. Didn't do it at all in the entire month of June either. So Williams is pitching pretty well right now. His numbers against Texas are actually not good, but it's a small 17 at-bat sample size. But 4 strikeouts, 3 walks, not a good ratio. 294 batting average allowed, 988 OPS. He's allowed 1 home run to Tellez. So not very good for Williams. Surprisingly, his numbers are not good against Texas. So that gives me a little bit of hesitation, but I think his recent form actually matters more than a small sample size against Texas. Texas is going with Merrill Kelly, who they picked up at the trade deadline. So Cleveland were actually sellers at the trade deadline, and the Rangers were actually buyers because this is a big pickup for them to bolster their starting rotation. Merrill Kelly, 3.35 ERA this year, 1.06 whip, good numbers. He's doing a little bit worse at home, 3.65. That was mostly because he was with Arizona, and their stadium is a very hitter-friendly ballpark. Although he did have 1 bad start at home with Texas, his only bad start since they got him was against Philadelphia at home, but maybe you can forgive him for that. Philadelphia's a good lineup. His other 3 starts with them, he's gone 5 2/3 in each one, allowing 2 earned runs or less in each one. He does have an 18-5 strikeout walk ratio, 18-6 since Texas acquired him. 4.09 ERA with them. Has allowed 5 home runs in the last 3 starts, though, so that's a little bit of a concern. Against Cleveland, he has really good numbers, though. Only 3 of their hitters have seen him in 25 at-bats, where they only have 2 hits, 1 extra base hit, a double from Jones, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, which was also Jones, an 080 batting average and 235 OPS. So Kelly is actually unfamiliar to Cleveland, and the guys that have seen him, he's pretty much dominated them. So I do think you have to give Kelly the edge here. I mean, he has the way better matchup numbers, so the money is actually coming in completely against Texas, which is insane. 80% of tickets, only 55% of the cash on Texas, so they're a public home favorite, and they've dropped from -130 to -117, so very strong market read coming in against Texas here, which seems very, very odd to me, man. So I don't know what's going on with that line there, because I would lean to Texas. I think they have the pitching edge really pretty much across the board in the game, so that seems a little bit weird to me, although, like I said, I think the under might be worth a look as well, because you have capable bullpens that are pretty rested here. Texas, good bullpen, and 2 starting pitchers that are in pretty good recent form. Total drop from 8 to 7.5. You might be able to, you could probably still get the under 7.5 pretty easily here, because it's juiced to the over. 62% of tickets on the over, 91% of the cash on the over. So the money's coming in on the over, but again, I don't really understand that. So we're going to go, and we're not going to go. It's not going to be a play for me, but I think an under might be the way to look in that game. And Texas, I worry about the Texas slight lean that I have there. I think the under is probably the preferred approach, because the Texas lean looks like the market is completely disagreeing with it. Cubs, Anaheim, I'll give out a play on that game as well, which is maybe not what you would think. Cincinnati at Arizona. Arizona's actually on the verge of sweeping Cincinnati here. They won 10-1 yesterday. There's been some weirdness in this series where it looked like Ryan Nelson was using pine tar, not last night, but the night before that, I think. He had a weird spot on his visor, man. And people were like, guys can't get away with that now. Well, Ronel Blanco for the Astros, he did it last year. And where's he now? He's nowhere to be found. But he was doing that last year, and then when they made him stop, he completely just fell off and hasn't been seen since, pretty much. So, I mean, guys are still doing it, and sometimes it takes a while to get caught. And I've been saying on the show for a long time that Ryan Nelson, if you look at his career stats, the fact that he would just somehow become really, really good at the age of 27 for no apparent reason, pitching in a hitter-friendly ballpark where everybody else on his team has actually become worse, like Zach Gallen, Brandon Pfaadt. Those guys have better career numbers, and they've all gotten worse this year. So it's obviously not the pitching coaching. So it's like, what can explain it? So maybe my gut instinct is right again, man. And maybe there is something going on there. Maybe Ryan Nelson is cheating. Maybe he's using the pine tar. I don't know. We'll see. But Arizona, they do have Milwaukee up next. So that is possibly a look ahead. Cincinnati, I think, still is in the playoff hunt, technically. So they might still have a little bit of more motivation here, man, because they want to avoid the sweep. They have a little bit more to play for here with Arizona. Basically just playing out the stretch at this point, and they do have that big series against Milwaukee up next. Bullpen, Cincinnati does have the better bullpen, but it's the usage scenario is not necessarily that good, although they kind of saved their better arms yesterday by using a couple of longer relief men yesterday. So probably you give the edge to Cincinnati with the bullpen, even though Arizona's is more rested, and they somewhat did the same thing, although they did use Beeks, my guy, who if you watch my show, I've told the story about when I did karaoke with Beeks' parents the night of his Major League debut, which was for the Red Sox, where I was actually in attendance at that game, and he didn't pitch well. I never met Beeks, but I did karaoke with his parents. Beeks, yeah, so he's like the only decent reliever that Arizona did use yesterday, but Arizona's bullpen is still worse. So Cincinnati gets the bullpen advantage. Arizona does have the better hitting, although Cincinnati's a decent offense too. And then starting pitching, got to try to figure it out, man. Brady Singer is pitching for the Reds. First season with the Reds hasn't been great. 4.18 ERA, 1.3 whip is definitely too high. He's been pretty bad on the road. Surprisingly, he's actually pitching well at home, even though it's a hitter-friendly ballpark. His road numbers have been bad. 5.55 ERA on the road. This month, he's been quite good, though. He's got 3 wins in his 4 starts. His only bad start was on the road against Pittsburgh. Go figure that. I don't know how you can figure that out. Probably just wasn't focused at all. 2.08 ERA this month, though. 22-6 strikeout walk ratio. Every start besides the Pittsburgh start, even if you include his last start in July, he's allowed 1 or fewer earned run in all of those. So that's 4 out of his last 5 starts, including a shutout for 6 innings against Philadelphia, which was at home. But Singer's in pretty good form right now. Against Arizona, those numbers are not great. In 41 at-bats, 10.3 strikeout walk ratio is fine, but 293 batting average allowed, pretty high, although he hasn't allowed a lot of power. 731 OPS. So I still think Singer might actually come out and do okay here, but I do worry about his road numbers. He's going up against Zach Gallen, who, like I said, his season basically has been a lost season, and he's been worse than you would ever expect this season. 5.28 ERA, 1.33 whip. He's definitely been better than that during his career. He's been a little bit worse at home, 5.5 ERA at home. So both pitchers on the wrong side of their splits, but they're both pitching okay recently. Gallen, 3.52 ERA this month, hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any of his starts. He's picked up 2 wins out of the 4 starts, and his team has won 3 of the 4. 13-5 strikeout walk ratio is not that great, mostly because the strikeout rate is actually really low. So his strikeout rate has become low. So he's not really fooling hitters at this point. His numbers against Cincinnati are good, though. They're only 8 for 63 off him. 16 strikeouts, 7 walks is a little bit too many walks, but or a few too many walks, I should say. 127 average allowed, 468 OPS allowed. So his numbers against Cincinnati are actually pretty good. So I could see potentially both starting pitchers actually doing well in this game. So I could definitely see an argument for a first 5-inning under. I probably would not want to do a full game, even though the bullpens are rested. They're not great bullpens, and Arizona's is a bad bullpen. 65% of tickets, 70% of the cash on the under. Money seems to be coming in on the under, and it's also coming in on the Arizona side, which, I mean, the starting pitching matchup does look like at least the matchup numbers are in favor of Gallen here. If I was going to go Arizona, I would probably limit it to the first 5 because I just don't trust their bullpen. And Cincinnati, they do still have motivation here, in my opinion. So that worries me a little bit about the Arizona side, although the market read is on Arizona with 61% of tickets, only 52% of the cash on Cincinnati. So the public is on Cincinnati. They're a dreaded public road underdog here, which you usually never want to look at a public road underdog. Arizona's up from -120 to -128 on the money line. So, excuse me, that's that game. Dodgers and San Diego. This is crazy, man. San Diego on the verge of potentially getting a revenge sweep here after they got swept at the Dodgers last weekend. They're looking to sweep the Dodgers at home. San Diego is much better at home. They actually have just overtaken first place again in the NL West from the Dodgers, because the Dodgers have been playing some pretty bad baseball over the last month, man. And surprisingly, Nestor Cortez pitched really well yesterday. And one thing I forgot about, which this article is mentioning here, is that Cortez did actually, if you remember, he was on the Yankees last year, and I think he was the one that came in relief, and he's the one that gave up the home run to Freddie Freeman that basically ruined the Yankees' chances in the World Series, if you remember that. I gave out the Yankees in that game, by the way, on my show, and the Yankees had the game won basically in extra innings, but as a Yankee hater, I was not too sad with the result. But Cortez, because he's a lefty, they brought him in to face Freeman, I'm pretty sure, and Freeman hit the home run off him, the famous Freeman home run, which I don't think that was in the clinching game, but I think it was the penultimate game of the World Series there that basically pretty much sent the Yankees into a spiral and just ended it for them, which I think they lost the next game, and then it was over. But yeah, Cortez, I forgot about that, so he did have a little bit of extra motivation to get back at the Dodgers for that, and he pitched well, better than anybody I think probably expected yesterday. So somehow the Padres were able to get the win, not having the starting pitching edge yesterday with Cortez up against Glasnow. Not what I expected. Although I do think San Diego has the better bullpen. I mean, I know they do. Bullpen usage yesterday, not too strong on either side. And San Diego's bullpen is the most stacked bullpen in baseball. So even when they have a little bit of usage, I mean, that's kind of how they get managed. They use a few of their relievers every game. Dodgers only used 2, including Robleski, who's a long relief man. So like all their best relievers are available here, but Dodgers bullpen is still the worst of the two bullpens. Dodgers do have the better offense. But this starting pitching matchup, I mean, on the surface, this looks like an under, like almost for certain, with a total very low, 7.5. We got a pitcher-friendly park. We got 2 guys on the hill on both sides. These guys have been really good this year. Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitching for the Dodgers here. We know he's been really good this year. 2.9 ERA, 1.08 WHIP. He's been pretty much good since the Dodgers brought him over from Japan before the start of last year, I believe. He's been even better on the road, 2.42 ERA on the road. This month, he's been a little bit shaky, 4.67 ERA, 18-7 strikeout walk ratio, though it was almost entirely because he had a bad start at Anaheim where he inexplicably had 5 walks and gave up 6 earned runs. Don't know what that was about. Anaheim has just had the Dodgers number for whatever reason. They just really stepped it up in the freeway rivalry there. And then Yamamoto did okay against Colorado last time up, but gave up 3 earned runs, but that was at Coors Field. So I mean, it was still a pretty good start. You can kind of give him a pass for that. Really, his only bad start over the past couple months was that one against Anaheim. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every other start going all the way back into mid-June. So I'm not ready to say that he's actually in bad form, but his numbers against the Padres are actually shockingly bad. Given that the Padres, I mean, I know they have a lot of offensive talent on their team, but it hasn't really coalesced this season. They're not one of the better offenses in baseball, numbers-wise. Yamamoto has 58 at-bats against him, 10 strikeouts, 4 walks. That's fine, but 379 batting average allowed, 1,092 OPS, 3 home runs allowed to them, 2 from Machado. So Yamamoto has actually struggled against the Padres, so maybe that'll happen again here. And he's up against Nick Pivetta, who is also having a really good season. 2.81 ERA and a sub-1 whip. One of the rare pitchers who's pitched almost the entire season and has kept his whip under 1. To do that as a starting pitcher all season, very difficult to do. 0.94 whip for Pivetta. He pitches in a very pitcher-friendly park, but he is really good there. 2.35 ERA at home. He's been good this month with a 23-6 strikeout walk ratio, 2.81 ERA. His one bad start this month came at home against the Red Sox. We know the Red Sox can hit a little bit. Red Sox did have Pivetta until this season, so Red Sox kind of know his tendencies at least. He's been really good other than that start. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in every other start, going all the way back into late June. So Pivetta's definitely in good form. However, the Dodgers have good batting numbers against him. 128 at-bats, 27-10 strikeout walk ratio, 6 homers off him with Conforto and Ohtani, each with 2. 289 batting average allowed, an 864 OPS. So both starting pitchers, as good as they've both been this year, they both have really bad matchup numbers. So I actually think this could be an over. I think this might be a game where the public actually knows that this is a starting pitching duel, or it looks like that on the surface. But I actually think the over might be the better way to go with this game. Even though I know San Diego has a good bullpen, the Dodgers bullpen is shaky. 55% of tickets on the under, 69% of the cash on the over. And we know they're is offensive talent here, but the public is slightly on the under, and the money's actually coming in on the over, flipping it to 8 juice to the over. So I think it could be a sneaky overplay here, man. Might be the way to go. It might be one of those games where you actually could go over first 5 innings and get it done that way, too, if you want to avoid San Diego's bullpen actually being good. As far as the side, San Diego flipped from plus 100 to minus 106. 51% of tickets, 53% of the cash coming in on the Dodgers. I mean, it's really difficult to gauge the side here, man. Because looking at both starting pitching matchup numbers, they both have bad numbers. So it's like, which one of them is going to come through here? I actually don't really know. I mean, maybe you still lean to San Diego on the side full game, because if you think the starting pitching matchup is basically a bit of a wash here, San Diego does have the better bullpen. So I think full game, maybe San Diego, the side does make sense. And they actually complete the sweep here and get the sweep revenge. A's Seattle, I'm going to give out a play. And then Red Sox, Yankees, of course, they do get the ESPN Sunday night game here. Red Sox looking for a 4-game sweep here. The Red Sox have won 8 games in a row against the Yankees. The only game they lost to the Yankees was the first game of the season. And I think they only have 1 series left against the Yankees after this. Red Sox with a 12-1 win yesterday, but I do think that's going to mean that the Yankees are going to come out in an embarrassed mood here, and knowing that they're on knowing that they're on national TV, I'm probably expecting the Yankees to play better here. The Red Sox do have the better bullpen, though, and the Yankees have the better offense. Both teams can hit. The Red Sox, not a lot of bullpen usage yesterday, and Chapman did get the rest yesterday, so he's probably available again today if they want him. He's been ridiculously good for how old he is, and wasn't as good when he was on the Yankees. Yankees actually used Paul Blackburn in relief. I didn't even know they had him. So I think part of the reason why the Yankees wound up getting blown up late in that game is because they used Blackburn. The game was basically over. They're like, yeah, fuck it. Let's just have him get wrecked. So the Yankees' better relievers are actually available in this one, although better maybe is relative, because their bullpen has definitely struggled this year. But the bullpen rest scenario is fairly good for actually both teams in this game. Still think the Red Sox have a little bit of a bullpen edge here. Yankees have the hitting edge, and they probably have the starting pitching edge, but Dustin May is pitching for the Red Sox, and he's pretty difficult to figure out right now. They traded for him right before the trade deadline, trying to bolster their starting rotation. I didn't like the move. May really hasn't been good since his, I think he had Tommy John surgery, and he missed all of last year, I believe. So he didn't pitch against the Yankees in the World Series, I don't believe. But he hasn't been good since then. This season, 4.59 ERA, 1.36 whip. I mean, I guess it could be worse, but of course those numbers are not good. He's been particularly bad on the road, 6.28 ERA on the road. That's not good. But since the Red Sox got him, he had a shaky outing, his first outing against Kansas City. Although he still did limit them to 3 earned runs, although it was in 3 2/3 innings. Did have 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. But other than that, he's actually been pretty good so far for the Red Sox. He's gone 6 innings in his other 2 starts, allowing 2 or fewer earned runs in both of those. He has a 17-4 strikeout walk ratio, 2.87 ERA with them. And his 1 road start was a 6-inning shutout against Houston. So that was actually his best start. So May, interestingly, he's actually been pretty good with the Red Sox. I can't really explain it. I don't really expect it to continue, though. But his numbers against the Yankees are actually pretty good, and they haven't really seen much of him. The Yankees only have 5 hitters who have seen him before, and they're only 4 for 32 off him. Although every hit is an extra base hit, including a Grisham home run. But he's 1 for 17 with that home run and 5 walks. May has 6 walks total against them. 5 are Grisham, and he's got 13 Ks against them, and 9 of them are Grisham. So most of the Yankees' experience against him has been Grisham. May's held them to a 125 average overall and 576 OPS. So May does have good numbers against the Yankees. He does have a bit of an unfamiliarity edge, at least, because some of these hitters haven't seen him before. Going up against Carlos Rodon for the Yankees. Generally, yes, he is definitely the better of these 2 pitchers. Having a good season, 3.24 ERA, 1.07 whip. He's been good at home, 2.84 ERA at home. He's starting to pitch better again after he definitely had a bit of a lapse. Wasn't pitching well for basically the better part of a month, I guess. Maybe it was a little bit of a distraction around the All-Star game, too. This month, he's been better again, sort of. 3.57 ERA, but his walk rate has still been way too high this month. Even though Yankees have won his last 3 starts, he's won his last 2. But 22-13 strikeout walk ratio, multiple walks in every outing this month. That is a little bit concerning, although he's dropped the walk rate to 2 apiece in his last 2 outings, and went more innings in those starts. But his walk rate is still definitely a bit of a concern. Red Sox have definitely seen a bunch of him, but they haven't done that well against him. In 85 at-bats, 19 strikeouts, 9 walks. 224 average is very low, though they have a 710 OPS, which is not too low because of the 9 walks plus 3 home runs against him. Still, I mean, I think May is the less trustworthy of the pitchers. I do think the Yankees are probably the right side in this game. They're up from minus 155 to minus 163, so they are a fairly heavy favorite here, but usually you're paying a tax on the Yankees, even if it is against the Red Sox. If it's not like an elite Red Sox pitcher here, you're pretty much paying a tax if you want the Yankees. 63% of tickets, 76% of the cash coming in on the Yankees, though, so this time the money is coming in on them, and it looks like the under might be getting a little bit of play with 85% of tickets on the over, but 66% of the cash on the over. So it looks like the cash disparity is on the under. The total is just kind of sitting at 8.5. I don't think you're going to get a 9 on that. If you wanted to go under, I could see the argument for it with both starting pitchers with pretty good matchup numbers. It could happen. The public is only going to come out and play an over, especially after the Red Sox put up 12 runs yesterday. They're going to think that the 2-1 game or whatever it was, or 1-0. I mean, the day before that, I think it was 1-0. Is going to be a little bit of a blip probably. So the public is going to play an over. I mean, Sunday night, this is going to be the game that gets the most betting action. So it is a game where you probably more often than not want to look to fade the public sentiment in this game. The public sentiment, again, is going to be the over. So I could see it going under, but again, the Yankees bullpen is a little bit of a concern, but at least they're rested. I could see the argument for full game. If you want to go first 5 inning under, even though I lost doing that yesterday, you could do that. And that is it, man. And we don't have any NFL preseason, so we're going to go best bets, and then we'll get out of here. Hopefully it won't take too long. Here will be we're a bit over an hour already, so we'll see. We're going to go about an hour 15 here probably. Let's get to the bets, man. First one up is a side, and I'm actually going to go with the Baltimore Orioles here to avoid the sweep. Minus 134, and I know that price is kind of crazy. It's dropped a little bit from minus 140 to now minus 132, I guess, but it looks like Baltimore is getting the money. 59% of tickets, 78% of the cash coming in on Baltimore, and I know a lot of times you do not want to go Baltimore full game here. I understand that. If you want to go first 5 innings, you could do that as well, but I think they're going to have a little bit of motivation because they want to avoid the sweep here. Houston is completely dominated in them. So Houston basically already now has revenge on Baltimore for not having a good series against Baltimore the series before that. Houston has started exploding for runs again after their offense was terrible recently. That was big. Unfortunately, they don't have a bigger series up next, so they do have tomorrow off and have to travel back home. So they might be maybe even looking ahead towards that because these getaway days get kind of weird, man. Like when you're on the verge of a sweep and you have an early game and you're already like looking to get out of Dodge, you've already won the series, looking to get out of there. If they had a bigger series up next, this would be even stronger of a play, but I still actually like it, man. So we're going to go Baltimore here. And again, it looks pretty odd to see Baltimore being a favorite like this. And now the public, where I was on Houston the first 2 games in this series because they were playing like ass coming into this series. I thought it was a great spot to play Houston in game 1, and then I liked the matchup in game 2. I don't like the matchup here, and this is the spot where I think the public is just no longer going to want to have anything to do with Baltimore because Houston's dominated the series. But I think now this is the spot where you actually do play Baltimore. And Baltimore, I know that it's the heaviest price you have to pay on Baltimore, and I was saying throughout the series, holy crap, you get Houston as an underdog, and Houston is the better team. Yes, they are. Houston has the better offense and the better bullpen, but the bullpen situation isn't too bad for Baltimore here. Besides a long relief man yesterday, they only used 2 relievers for single-digit pitch counts. So their bullpen is in decent shape here, even though they're not a good bullpen. Houston's bullpen is better, but their usage over the last few days has been a lot more. So Houston has fewer relievers they can actually use here. They really only have 2 who aren't on the injured list right now that they didn't use yesterday. So I think that kind of evens out Houston's bullpen advantage. That plus the motivational aspect and the situational aspect of this. We're going Baltimore full game, and again, to me, even though, it looks like maybe there's perceived value on Houston being the better team, being an underdog on the road like this, but there's a reason why they're the biggest underdog of the series in this particular game, and that's because I don't think the starting pitching matchup is very good either, or the situation. So I think that's the reason why. I think the public's going to look at it and think, how could I possibly play Baltimore as a big favorite here against Houston, who's obviously the better team, right? It looks way too easy to take Houston in this game, but I don't think so. Spencer Arrighetti is pitching for Houston. I like him. I think he does have high upside. He does have talent, but hasn't done it this year. He came back from injury not too long ago, and he struggled this season so far. 6.94 ERA, 1.63 whip. That's not good. He's been absolutely abysmal on the road. 10.95 ERA on the road, so that's really, really bad. So we have the home road splits working against him here. He's allowed 5 or more earned runs, exactly 5 earned runs, I should say, in 3 out of his 5 outings against Minnesota, Miami, and Detroit. So really only one good team out of those 3. This month, he has a 7.9 ERA in 3 starts, 13-10 strikeout walk ratio. So he's not getting it done. He's walking way too many guys. And giving up way too many runs as well, and giving up too many hits as well for the most part. So he is not doing well, man. Baltimore, they haven't seen much of him, I know, so he has an unfamiliarity edge at least. They're 3 for 12 off him, 6 strikeouts, no walks, 250 batting average, 750 OPS, so I get it. Arrighetti does at least have a little bit of an unfamiliarity edge there, but he is really, really in bad form right now, man. So I think recent form matters, and he does not have it. And Trevor Rogers pitching for Baltimore, he does. I mean, he's been shockingly good for Baltimore this year, especially like what's going to pump him up playing for Baltimore when they're not going anywhere this year. But I think it's the fact that he just gets to pitch again. He's been really pumped about it. And he was a guy coming into playing for Baltimore. He started pitching for Baltimore later this year. So both of these pitchers, by the way, are not going to be worn down because they haven't pitched that much this season. Rogers, though, he didn't have good numbers at AAA, didn't have good numbers back when he was on Miami. So I'm like, I didn't expect anything out of him, and he's been really good. 1.41 ERA, 0.8 whip. He's been even better at home with a 0.63 ERA. Of course, it's like basically unsustainable, but he's allowed more than 2 earned runs once this entire stretch with Baltimore. Going back, he's actually been in the rotation since late May now, and that start was at Tampa Bay at Steinbrenner Field, which is a weird stadium to pitch in. He's actually been even better recently. His team has won 5 of his last 6 outings, actually 8 of his last 10. All season, actually, they've won, 9 of 12. This month, 3 out of 4. He's allowed 1 earned run apiece in every outing. Again, he's allowed no more than 2 earned runs going all the way back to that start in June against Tampa. This month, 1.29 ERA, 27-3 strikeout walk ratio. So he's keeping guys off the base paths. His command has been excellent. This month included starts on the road against the Cubs, Philadelphia, and Boston. So he was facing 3 pretty good offenses all on the road there and did well in every single one of those starts. Went at least 6 innings in every start this month. I mean, that's just wild, man. He's pitching really well right now. His numbers against Houston, I get it. They're not really as good as Arrighetti's in the matchup, but still a small sample size, 23 at-bats, 5.1 strikeout walk ratio, 261 average, and the OPS is a little high at 813 because he has allowed 3 doubles and then a home run to Walker. But Rogers, I mean, he's in such good form right now, man. And Houston hasn't seen him this year, so they have not seen the current form of Rogers. So I think that might give him a little bit of an extra edge as well. So we are going to go with Baltimore in this game here on the money line, man. That's the play in that one. It's a little bit of a price, but I think there's a reason for that. That looks very misleading. So we will do that. And then all the rest of my plays are first 5 inning unders. That's the name of the game today. First one up is Toronto, Miami. You do have to pay a bit more to get this under 4. If you want to go under 3.5, I guess you could, or you could go full game here, but I worry a little bit because I don't like Miami's bullpen, and there's been bullpen usage here, so I was like, I got to try to find first 5 under somewhere. Paying up to minus 125 for the under 4. I know it's a bit of a price, and it would really suck to lose this one at this price. I know we're paying a little bit more for some of these favorites here. But you can see here, Toronto, the only reliever they didn't use yesterday that they have on their roster, I guess right now, is Yariel Rodriguez, who's more of a long relief type of guy. So Toronto's bullpen, even though they're the better bullpen, they're not in good shape, and neither is Miami. Miami only has 2 that they didn't use yesterday, and one of them is a long relief guy too, in Beozo. So the bullpen situation's bad, so that's why I really want to avoid it. But I really like the starting pitching matchup here. Toronto does have the better offense if you're looking to handicap this game. Miami, mediocre / well, I wouldn't say bad, but mediocre offense. But this is all about the starting pitching matchup, of course. It's the first 5 under. We got Kevin Gausman pitching for the Blue Jays. He's got good numbers, 3.78 ERA, 1.06 whip. He's been a pretty consistent pitcher for them. He's actually better on the road, 3.49 ERA on the road, and he's in pretty good form, 3.6 ERA this month with a 20-5 strikeout walk ratio. So he's doing well this month. He had one good start in there against a Cub lineup that's pretty difficult to face. At the end of last month, he did well against the Yankees and the Tigers. So he's doing pretty well against pretty good lineups as well. Had one weird start where he gave up 5 earned runs against Kansas City, but that was at home, and he still had a 5-0 strikeout walk ratio there. So I think he got a little bit unlucky, allowing 2 home runs there. So overall, he is in good form. He's got his command right now, and Miami basically has never seen him before. Only Weimar, the Weimar Republic, has seen him before, and he is 1 for 2 with a double and a walk, or 1 for 1, with a double and a walk. But Gaussman basically is completely unfamiliar to Miami. So even though Gaussman has been around for a while, there's footage on him. Miami still has not faced him in a real game environment, so they might struggle against Gaussman. He's in good form. He's going to go up against Yuri Perez, who is a really talented young pitcher as well. He already had Tommy John surgery and missed the season, even though he's only 22. He's starting to pitch really well again. He was really good before the surgery as well, but he's seemingly coming back to his old self, man. 3.48 ERA, 1.01 whip this year, really good. He's been really good at home, 2.08 ERA at home. So we have the home road splits are in his favor. I know this month he's been a little bit worse. 20-9 strikeout walk ratio is definitely too many walks. He's suffering from a little bit of wildness. Again, 4.35 ERA. I get it, not great. The defense really kind of destroyed his start last time out against the Cardinals. He only had 1 earned run, but a couple of unearned runs scored. He couldn't get out of whatever inning he was in. Couldn't make it 5 innings there. So, yeah, I know his last 3 starts have been iffy, going 5 1/3 or fewer in each of them. He did allow 9 earned runs across the previous 2 against Cleveland and Atlanta, which I know are not good teams. But the strikeout number is still there for the most part. So, I mean, I think he might come back into form at some point, and maybe it'll be here because he does pitch better at home. Even though and 2 of the those 2 worst starts were both on the road. So the one last time out was at home against St. Louis, and he did walk too many guys, but the fielding definitely hurt him. But Toronto really has bad numbers against him. They've only seen him 14 at bats worth. Only Bo Bichette has a hit off him. They're 1 for 14 with no extra base hits, 4 strikeouts, and no walks. So he's dominated them. 0.71 average, 143 OPS. I know it's a very small sample size, but that does also mean they're not really familiar with him. And he's not pitched against them this year, so Toronto hasn't seen him in 2 years because he missed last season. So there's no recent familiarity there either. So there's a lot of unfamiliarity with both pitchers here. And as far as the market, I think the market is agreeing with this one. I think it was agreeing with all 4 of these, but let's see. At least on the full game, we see 63% of tickets on the over in this game, but 86% of the cash on the under. And the totals drop from 8 to 7.5 here. Juice to the under, so it's going through that key number 7.5, almost towards the key number 7, really. So the money's definitely coming in on the under here. Again, if you can find whatever the best number is that you can. I mean, you do at least get the better of the 7, I guess, if you go full game on this. You could probably still get the under 7.5. But I don't like the bullpen scenario at all, which is why I was I have to find an under in the first 5. You could do under 3.5 in the first 5 and get a better price on it. And then if it loses, you'll lose less money, at least if you do it that way. Next up, I told you a lot of first 5 unders here, and we're paying a price for every single one of these plays today, man. So, hey, big spender, play these unders. So, yeah, this is a first 5 under Cubs Anaheim. You can get this one at 5.5 at minus 118. I mean, I guess if you find an under 5 at a better price, you could do that too. I mean, it's not that much different, but the minus 118, I think, is fine. I mean, each run does matter more a little bit in the first 5 innings. So it kind of makes sense to maybe even pay about a minus 120 for a half run, even in some cases, even though there aren't really any key numbers in a first 5 inning under. But we're going to do it with the Cubs Anaheim here. And I know the public probably going to see this and want an over here. 78% of tickets are on the over, but only 57% of the cash on the over. I know with the total being high at 9.5, the odds makers are kind of saying we think this is going to be a high-scoring game. It's actually headed towards 10, but we're going to leave the bullpens out because Anaheim's bullpen is bad, so we can take Anaheim's bullpen out of the equation here. They're at least rested decently, though. Cubs bullpen well rested as well. They only used Ben Brown in relief yesterday, so all their better relievers are available here. So if you wanted to go full game on this, you still could. I know I don't love when the odds makers are basically telling you they think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think there are reasons to think this is going to be a lower-scoring game, and the money's coming in towards Anaheim. Cubs down from minus 150 to minus 130 here. 85% of the tickets, only 56% of the cash. So one of those public road favorites here. A lot of times the professional bettors do see value on a home underdog, and they might be seeing it here. And I think that actually is good for our under, because whenever I see the worst of the two starting pitchers getting the money, that kind of indicates to me that the public or the professional money is seemingly thinking that pitcher is actually going to do better than you would think. So that's kind of what I'm going with here, and that tends to work out more often than it doesn't, and it has recently for me as well. So that's what we're going with here, man. First 5 innings, of course, we know the Cubs have the better offense if you want to look at the game, in every aspect of it here. The Cubs do have something to play for, of course. Anaheim is out of it, and Anaheim is definitely worse than the record would indicate. But we're going with an under here, so we're really focusing just on the matchup here. But there is a situational component to this, which is part of the reason why I actually want to go with this under here. Oh, and by the way, Toronto obviously does have motivation to play there if you're looking to handicap the side in that game. Miami, of course, what was I going to say? Miami is out of it, but Toronto, they're trying to win at least. Toronto is a public road favorite, though, by the way. 77% of tickets, only 58% of the cash. So if you're worried about Perez, the money seems to be coming in on Perez, too. Toronto down from -1, or up from minus 127 to minus 128. So both of these games, we have the home underdog with the pitcher that's been a little bit shakier or whatever, the pitcher that you might trust a little bit less, getting the money, which I think is a good sign for our unders here. But back to Cubs Anaheim here. We got Jameson Taillon for the Cubs. He was injured, and he came back. He's made one start since coming back. He has a 4.26 ERA, which isn't that great, but a 1.11 whip. Pretty good. He has been worse on the road, so we do have to worry about that a little bit. 5.4 ERA on the road. So this is one where I'm fading that split, but I think he's back in form, man, because when he came back, his one start was a 6-inning, 1-run performance against Milwaukee. So that was a good start, and he knows that he needs to keep playing, man, because the Cubs are in second place. They're still trying to make sure they make the playoffs here. So I don't think he's going to have a letdown, really, even though I know Anaheim, it's hard to focus on Anaheim. So maybe that's part of the reason why maybe the money's coming in and fading the Cubs here, because they think maybe Taillon is the more likely pitcher to be a little bit distracted. But that good start against Milwaukee, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk against a really good Milwaukee offense. At home as well for the Cubs there. Milwaukee's a better offense on the road. That's a good sign there that he's in good form coming back from injury there. He's going up against Kyle Hendricks, and you know me, I don't particularly like Kyle Hendricks. And looking at these teams, looking at the starting pitchers' ERAs, I think this is actually a sneaky under because the ERAs don't look that good. Hendricks, 4.93 ERA. I know his whip isn't good either, 1.3. I know I've been fading him more often than not over these last few years, but he does have the better home road splits, 4.52 ERA at home. He is better at home. I know he hasn't been good this month. I get it. 6.05 ERA, 15.8 strikeout walk ratio. Hasn't been good. I understand. He's not allowing a ton of runs, at least. And his recent starts were kind of bad because it was against Dodgers. I mean, they're a good offense. Did a little bit better, and then he went 6 innings against the Reds. Yes, I know the Cubs are a good offense as well, but the reason why I like this, and I think Hendricks is going to be pumped up, he's facing the team that got rid of him after last year, man. The Cubs are his former team, and this will be the first time that he's faced his former team in the Cubs. I'm pretty sure he has not faced them this year because this is an interleague game. Yes, that will mean that the Cubs do know his tendencies because they had him last year, but the Cubs hitters have never seen him before and have barely seen him before. Only 4 of them have seen him before. And in 46 at-bats, yes, Turner does have 2 home runs off him, but he's only 4 for 23 off him. He has 5 of the 6 walks against him. So yes, I know Hendricks does have an 8.6 strikeout walk ratio against him. That's not a good ratio, but Turner basically all of the walks there and hasn't hit him well. Overall, Hendricks has held him to a 217 average at 699 OPS. But I think part of the reason why this is so good is that Hendricks, he's pitching against his former team, man. So I think he's going to be pumped up to face his former team. So I think that's going to put it over the hump there. As far as this being an under in the first 5 here, you get a really good number on this. And again, it looks like the money is kind of agreeing with that as well. So we're going to go under that one as well. And then to finish it off, we're going to go A's and Seattle under. in the first 5 as well, which I think you can find it at 4 out there, although you might have to pay a little bit. I like the starting pitching matchup in this one, man. The money's coming in on the over in this one for some reason. 55% of tickets, 84% of the cash on the over. Although the total dropped to 7.5, it is expected to be a low-scoring game. We're going to take the bullpens out of the equation in this one. Seattle's bullpen is good, but they're a little bit used up after yesterday. And the A's bullpen, I basically don't want anything to do with them. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. They're not a great bullpen. So, I mean, they've been better recently, but they've been a pretty atrocious bullpen this season. So we'll avoid the bullpens, although we do still have the advantage of this being a pitcher-friendly park in Seattle. Yes, Seattle has a better offense. So if you're looking at Oakland. The A's have the better offense, but it's not that significant. Both teams have a decent offense. Seattle has the better bullpen, Pitching-wise, it's hard to gauge which starting pitcher is better. Seattle's sitting at a minus 165 favorite, 75% of tickets, 86% of the cash on Seattle, so the money's coming in on Seattle. But we're looking at the starting pitching here, man. I think this is a pitching matchup with Jacob Lopez pitching for the A's. He's had bouts where he hasn't been good this season, but he's had stretches where he's been really good, and he's on one of those right now. He is pitching well, man. 3.28 ERA, 1.17 whip on the season, seemingly coming from out of nowhere. I mean, at this point, I'm ready to trust that he's actually pretty good, even though he is a little bit worse on the road, which is weird because the A's stadium is very, very hitter-friendly. But Lopez is not a guy that comes out and throws hard fastballs, man, which, of course, hard fastballs, if you can connect with them, you can hit home runs off of those. But Lopez is fooling guys with like off-speed stuff that they're not able to hit as hard, which I think is translating well to that hitter-friendly stadium there. His ERA on the road is still not bad, though, 3.88 ERA. And he just went on a run where he had 4 shutout starts in a row. And in his last start, he only gave up 2 earned runs against Minnesota. He's got a .7 ERA this month. His team has won all of his last 5 starts. He's picked up a win in all 4 this month. 32-3 strikeout walk ratio this month with at least 8 strikeouts in each of his last 3 outings. Really, really good, although I know the offenses weren't that good. Washington, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, and those 3. He did do fairly well against Arizona the start before that. He did okay against Houston the start before that, although exited before he was done with 5 innings. But he's in good form right now. He's pitching well. We only need him to get us 5 innings here. And Seattle has never faced Lopez before. So even though they're in the same division, he's basically just been pitching for the A's this year, and Seattle has not faced him yet. So he has an unfamiliarity edge here against Seattle. So I like that. And Seattle's got Logan Gilbert pitching, and he is one of their better starters. 3.83 ERA, 1.06 whip. He's got good numbers, and he's really good at home. He's way worse on the road. He's way better at home. 2.22 ERA at home. I know his last start wasn't good, but it was against Philly on the road, so I'm going to consider that to be a little bit more of a blip. He gave up 6 earned runs. He got knocked around pretty hard in that one, but this month he does still have a 20-5 strikeout walk ratio. He'll have 3 or fewer earned runs in the other 3 outings. He is going up against an A's offense that is fairly potent, but his numbers against the A's are good. In 60 at-bats, he only have 8 hits against them. Yeah, Langoliers has 2 home runs off him. They have 3 home runs off him, but 22-2 strikeout walk ratio tells me Gilbert has had really good command against them. He's pretty much dominated them. He's held them to a 133 average and 511 OPS, so I do think he bounces back in the comfort of home. The money seems to be leaning towards Seattle doing better as well, but my recommendation on this one, as I said, is first 5 inning under, and that's going to do it, man. Let's hope that we get these wins here today, man. We got Baltimore Orioles money line full game, and then we got 3 first 5 inning unders on Toronto, Miami under the 4 at higher prices, though. I know Cubs, Anaheim under the 5.5, and A's, Seattle under the 4. All first 5 inning plays for those totals. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. We got short betting content there. Better Off Dad. Like, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for helping me out, man. Go review. Give me a good rating on iTunes and Spotify because we're on the audio stuff. Covered in Uke, my Uke channel on YouTube, which I do have to be better at keeping that up to date. And patreon.com/learntotoad. And there's some bonus Uke content on there right now. Got to get some more like bonus streams or something going to make it more worthwhile, I suppose. But I appreciate everybody. Thanks for hanging out. And I'll be back, I guess, tomorrow morning with a Monday card. It should be a lot easier to handicap, probably, because it's always a shorter card on Monday. Peace, everybody.